fingers to penetrate yourself through the opening of the condom and photograph
You have to pay for the test.
No.
They penetrate, and you know, some are very strong, some are very big. And some of the boys undocumented just also working to do it. Yeah, because I think the child only have the right after 18 years.
They will become parents too. And I think that at that point they want their child to be open and to trust them. So I think that the youth need to find a way, and I know that by doing groups with the Ghanaian community a lot, I know that the youth have some difficulty in dealing with the norms of value from the Netherlands and dealing with the community or the Ghanaian community norms and value who are based in the homeland. And I think that parents and child need to find a way to talk about those norms and value. You know, talk about how do we want to communicate, how do I want you to be a child who is open and trustworthy, and at the same time a parent who is open and not just judgmental, you know? Because I know that you think that the parents don't listen and that they are too strict. And I think that for a part, the church, because most of them are believers, it is or the church or the mosque who are playing a role in this. And I think that maybe religious leaders need to step in and speak out that the youth needs something more than only restriction. You know, they need to speak out about how do I gain the trust of my child? How can I openly communicate with my child without feeling threatened or without feeling the pressure from church or the community? Because if I'm too open as a parent, maybe the community will judge me, or the church or the mosque will judge me. So I think that being migrants in a foreign country and having now your child growing up with two different sets of norms of value, you need to deal with it as a parent, and the child needs to deal with it as a child, knowing that there are different norms and values that they need to incorporate in their life. That being said, that doesn't help them at this moment. And I can understand that they have need to communicate with somebody without being judged or without being restricted, or a place to ask that question. At the GGD, they have the sense spreekuren. You can make an appointment as a youth to talk with one of the nurses who is specialized in dealing with sexual questions or questions about sexuality.
And do you need your house doctor to give you a
No,
note, or
you can just go to the website of the GGD and then fill in a request for an appointment.
Okay.
And it is very easy. And everything that has been said during the session is confidential.
Okay. So I think youth, that question is really answered. Now they are saying, we said their relationship lasts 2 to 3 months, but that they don't agree. They've been in longer relationships. So what do you have to say to that?
Let's be honest. Some of you do have longer relationship, but the name player didn't come from the old people. It came from the youth. And what does a player do? They play, they change. And the youth, like, we have been young, and even we have played in our time. We have changed rapidly, if it is 3 months or 6 months, but we have changed several partners. And it doesn't have to mean sexual partners, but we were interested in that person first, and then we saw the other one, and there's nature. And thank God we have that, because that gives us a playing ground to have experience, to gain experience. So don't be offended if I say that you change too quickly. It's just that the reality is that being young is part of life, it's part of the game.
You learn from every relationship
Precisely.
till you make a real commitment. Huh?
Let's say it this way: you're supposed to learn from every relationship, but sometimes we choose time after time the same type of person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to stand still and see why I'm choosing that type of person. What do I have to learn from choosing that type of person? And isn't it better to change to a type that maybe it isn't as fleshy or as hip, but maybe I can get more out of that relationship than the one with the fast car or the nice look or the better clothes or the,
Well, viewers, I think the feedbacks we had from you have really been answered, thanks to Juan. So Juan, one question that really bothered the youth was also about how confidential can you be with your house doctor? At what age and at what point that you can feel to talk to your house actor about something that you don't want your parents to know about?
There's a tricky one, because the law said that there has to be confidentiality between the patient and the doctor. But at the same time, depending on the topic, the doctor can advise you to bring in your parents, because the topic that you're bringing up has more consequences also for the parents. Let me give you an example. If you want to talk with your doctor about how you feel, if you will start with the pill or not, and you're at that age that you can start with it, the doctor can choose to prescribe it, and it doesn't need the consent of your parents.
At what age?
We are talking about when you start
18.
menstruating and you...
So soon?
1 second. When you start menstruating and you think, and you're sexual active, and let's be honest, the youth nowadays can start very early.
Yeah.
So, I think that if a youth is when a youth decide I'm gonna have sex, and they want to protect themselves and they go to the doctor, I will applaud that, because that means that that person is taking responsibility for their action. They are taking responsibility by saying, I'm sexual active, I don't want a child now, so I need some protection.
So before 18 years, the doctor can give, your daughter contraceptives or a pill without your notice?
Yeah, it can. I see your face. Say what you're thinking. Let's back up and see it again. It is about a child trying to protect themselves. The doctor will ask the child to discuss it with their parents, but if the parents
Don't agree.
if the child cannot talk with them, there is no communication possible about the child telling them, you know what, I'm sexual active. And the child wants to protect herself by using the pill. Then I think the most reasonable thing is to protect the child for getting pregnant and stimulate the child to talk with the parents about, I'm sexual active and I'm using the pill. But the first thing is to protect the child.
So if the child said, no, I don't want my parents to know I'm sexually active.
And she is 15, 16.
Yeah.
They will get it. Yeah, and they need it, they will get it. The thing is that most of the time the doctor will try to stimulate the child to
talk to the parents. Does the child have the right to have the pill without the consent of the parents?
It is like this. From your 16 years, you are entitled to go to the doctor and get a pill. For example, if you're 14, 15 and you're sexual active, you can also go to the doctor and get a pill. And he will give it to you without consent of your parents if he thinks it is for the protection of the child, if it is benefiting the health and especially the sexual health of the child.
If the parents don't agree that the pill should be given to the child, does the parent has the right to stop the doctor from prescribing the pill to the child?
They can ask him, but if the child comes and he thinks it will protect the child and the health of the child, probably he will do it. And another thing, nowadays you can get the pill at the apotheke without a prescription. So what do you want and what do you prefer as a parent? That your child goes and get the pill, not knowing which one is best for her, at the apotheke? Or do you want them to go to the doctor, get the best advice and get a proper pill with a prescription? If you get it without a prescription at the apotheke, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if you go to the huisarts and you get a prescription, the ziekenfonds, so the insurance will pay for it. So it is about what do you prefer. And I think that the parents need to think about what is good for the child, because if the child is sexually active and probably will not stop or don't want to stop, or is in a relationship with somebody that, then do you want your child to get pregnant?